-17 Celsius is 1 Fahrenheit. This is Tower City, North Dakota, just west of Fargo. Very bad weather. Well, I went to, this is Tower City, North Dakota. I decided not to stop in Fargo on my way to Calgary, because it's very tight. That petrol is very tight, and so I saw there was like a bunch of truck stops, and so this was like I think second truck stop on I-94 after Fargo, and the temperature was somewhere like very mild, you know. Let me show you guys. Well, I don't want this guy. What are you doing? Yeah, the temperature was like, I don't know, -3, so 26 F. But then around 3 o'clock, the whole truck, 3 o'clock in the morning, the whole truck started shaking. I thought somebody hit me or something, you know. I opened the window and looked outside, nothing. And then I looked through the windshield, and I drew my curtains to the sleeper. But I looked through the windshield, and it was like, now it subsided a little bit, but it was a super strong wind, and all this snow was just like a snowstorm, you know. Like this whole thing was covered in snow, blowing snow. And it's not snowing, it's just the wind was so strong, you know. It was like scary. And I checked the sunrise time, it says 7:40, and time now, local time, is 7:16. And I didn't want to drive in the dark. And I look at the temperature, it's -17, which is wait a second, what's happening here? -17, yeah, 1.4 F, so 1 F, you know. And I decided to, and I put a little clip on Instagram, and it took a long time. Like the temperature just sits at 100 F, doesn't want to go up, you know, because it's this wind. It's very bad for differentials. Well, we are driving, and I started at 86 liters per 100 kilometers. Now we are down to 67, which is somewhere below 4 miles a gallon. And you can see there's very strong crosswind. It blows into my passenger side. Very bad. I'm driving because I just started like half an hour ago. Everything is cold. Drive axle 1 below 0, drive axle 2 below 0. Transmission just finally started moving. And I'm still in 8 low, or gear 17. Like, and it's still -17 Celsius. -17 Celsius, which is 1 F. And I saw a sign that says travel not advised. But this warning, the snowstorm warning, is in effect only until 3 p.m. So it's going east. And so the further I'm going north and northwest, the faster I will leave this bad area, you know. And I still have my booster down. I was a bit concerned, but no, it's not pushing me anywhere. Because, you know, all these stories about danger of booster axles on the ground when you empty, that's when most of the time, that's when you have a basic, the cheapest booster, which has no way to transfer the weight. Like the cheapest one uses shims, right? Now one guy told me he forgot to take the shims out. Like when he unloaded, he had the shims for that weight. And then he started driving empty, and of course there was too much weight on the booster because he didn't take the shims out and he was empty. And he said weather like this, it was a bit slippery and snowy. He got really scared because that booster was directing him sideways, you know. But in my case, I have an air distribution system over there, and I made sure that the rear bags are pretty high, like that's not that much pressure. It just basically it's equalizing. My system equalizes the weight, so if there's no weight on my trailer axles, there won't be too much weight on the booster. So this is really a much more superior system, and actually didn't cost me all that much, right? So I'm real happy about this booster. I had some concerns because I never had air assist booster. I only knew about two types, so like no air, no hydraulics, like the rigid one, which everybody says can be real dangerous. And the second one is super expensive hydraulic assist booster, which Fontaine sells for 42,000 US. And it's just, the first one is too dangerous, the second one is too expensive. And so mine is somewhere in the middle, not too expensive and not dangerous. But look at this. Like normally you want to stop, right? Especially if you're a car driver and your rank is below the colonel, you're not supposed to drive in these conditions. But again, I want to be in Calgary Friday to load, so that I can drive over the weekend towards Ontario. And what I did so far, I wanted to do my Alberta permit yesterday, but I got lazy. I still have time, and all I did was I did my cross-border papers, because even going empty into Canada, right? This is North Dakota. Going empty into Canada, I have to prepare the e-manifest, the ACI. It just shows your truck, your trailer, the plates, and no shipment, no parts number, you know, just basically I'm giving them notice that I'm coming. And so I did that, printed out the cover sheet for the ACI manifest, and I told them I'll be there around 12 o'clock local time. And we are about 70 miles. Like my next stop, the one I programmed in here, is that Casey's truck stop in look at that guy. That guy is flying. And of course it's a 4x4. Usually that's the type you see in ditches all the time. Yeah, I'm still at 50 miles an hour, 80 kilometers an hour. I'll increase the speed when I see this move and this move, but so far they're way below 100. It's 0. And you know, driving empty, 65 liters, that's awful. That's 3.5 miles a gallon. Well, I'm not exactly empty, right? I'm 72,400 pounds. So it's like a step deck with a 40,000 pound load. Oh, check this out. What? Where did the wind go? It's probably because of this. Because of this corn on the right. And then it starts again over there. And you can see that the road on Google Maps is all amber in color, meaning it's slow traffic. I guess they're looking at me that I'm driving at 50 miles an hour. No, but I think it's good. It's a good speed in this wind, you know. And I'm thinking forward in 25 miles, 38 kilometers, I have to turn this way. And I have to drive north. North and then northwest. And guess what's gonna happen? All this wind that's now hitting my passenger side is gonna be hitting my front. But actually that's better. I always think that that's a headwind, even though it's still bad, but it's better than side wind. Because anyways, your whole truck goes sideways. When it's a headwind, at least you can reduce your speed. And of course the profile of the truck from the front, it's much smaller than from the side, you know, because I have the sleeper, I have the cab, right, and the wind hits the side of the trailer, the Jeep, you know. So headwind will be better. But this is awful, you know. Each time I come to North Dakota, something happens. And I went inside to complain to the lady, what the heck, basically, what's going on in your state? I said, I woke up at 3 a.m. I thought somebody hit me, right? And she says, what, you didn't hear about this? They've been talking about this storm for a week now. Like warning people that the storm is coming. And I said, no, this is the first I hear about this. Why nobody sent me a message, nobody sent me a telegram? Well, I was coming from Baltimore, right? I got, you know, relaxed. I relaxed. It was 0 Celsius or, you know, 32 F. The weather was good. The sky was blue, except right before Chicago, right? But I thought this would make a cool video, and so here we go. Yeah, I definitely don't want to drive any faster because the wind is pretty bad. And you can see it's not snowing, right? It's not snowing, it's just the wind effect from the fields, because they have no fence, no fencing, right? Like you see this in Wisconsin and Montana, I think I saw that. They have fencing about 200 feet away. Maybe even more, maybe like 60 meters, you know. And it's a fence and it always goes along the road. And it has no gaps in it. It's like a solid fence, and what that does, it blocks this, it prevents from this, so the snow cannot get on the highway. And we always have this problem in Ontario. If you go on Highway 402 between London and Sarnia, when I'm going towards Port Huron, they have the same fields over there with very little trees, and that highway gets closed like this, you know, in winter. And once I remember, people got stuck because, you know, all the traffic, right? Then all of a sudden they closed the freeway, and people were sitting there, I forgot, like for a day with no food, no water, you know, no bathrooms. Yeah, you see what happens? Like this much snow. Well, I just hope I get out of this mess. You know, you see now it's blue and then it becomes amber again. I need to get to Minot because I know Minot is on the edge of this storm. And once I get to Minot, we should be golden. All right, what do we have? 64 liters, 63.9. Geez, we are cooking with gas. 63.7. Well, yesterday all day I was doing about 40 liters per 100 kilometers, which is 6 miles a gallon. But we didn't have this. Is finally, the temperature is over 100, but drive axle 1 still at 0, drive axle 2 still at 0. And that's how it usually is, because you're driving in the lower gear, the transmission warms up, you know, first. But that's a good sign. So now the axles will follow shortly after. And you see over here, it's nothing because that's very old snow. But then up ahead I can see a white wall. And that crazy double driver is trying to pass me. I hope he's not gonna hit me or end up in a ditch, you know. Like, I don't know how these guys are driving. That should be illegal. Double trailers, those are very dangerous. I know in mountains, like when you're in Colorado, I remember once going through those mountains on I-70, and there was a chain law in effect in April, but it said doubles and triples only. And I saw a FedEx guy sitting on the side of the road, you know, with exactly that, like short trailers. And that's the problem, because they're super light, right? Like normally what they have there, they have like some boxes, ladders, you know, Christmas presents. So they're very light. There's not enough traction. And so I don't know, how is he driving in this wind? And he's sitting on my bumper, but that's okay. So if he falls into the ditch, we're gonna record every detail. Here he goes. Now we have a small bridge where usually there's some ice, but this guy doesn't care. Actually, he has 3 trailers. Like, what's your rush? XPO. Single axle truck, so you know that it's very light. Single axle trailer. Like, all his trailers are single axle. But like, what am I supposed to do? 40 kilometers an hour to let you pass me? Like, if this guy cannot even pass me at 80, 50 miles an hour. That's just stunt driving, you know? But like I said, this guy, he cannot even maintain the speed, like, and they always try to pass you going up, you know, like, for me to let him pass me, I would have to slow down to 40 miles an hour. And then I cannot see anything, you know, like, it's crazy. So I just keep going, you know, because we have 2 lanes, right? So nobody's in the way, but it just... And that's how accidents happen, you know. And his whole trailers are like this because of the wind, because he's so light. But anyway, in 12 kilometers, what is it, 8 miles, we're turning on Highway 52. And so driving will be easier because the wind will be headwind. And my axle is still frozen, so I'm not going to change my speed. I'm still driving like this until I see temps above 100, at least on drive axle 1. And actually I know from experience that drive axle 1, which is connected to the drive shaft, will be the first to warm up, and then drive axle 2 will take another 40 minutes after that to warm up, you know. All right, here's another kamikaze driver. Kamikaze flying at, let me guess, 75 miles an hour. But this guy's probably loaded, tailgating behind the SUV, passing again because the SUV is not driving fast enough for this guy. And I'm telling you, when people say about truckers causing accidents, 9 out of 10 it's company drivers pulling drive-in trailers where they have little experience and they're paid cents per mile, and because of that they have to do 600 miles a day to make a buck, you know. Like, I don't care, right? I don't care about distances. I'm paid per load or per project, or as we said in Russia, сдельная оплата. I'm not paid for my time, I'm not paid for my miles. I'm paid based on what we negotiated for a load. And that's why I can afford drive like this and keep my wits about me and be safe. But those guys cannot afford to be safe. They have to rush. They have to be in Vancouver tomorrow.